Hey, what is up guys, Tava here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the most insane cinematic video editor's creator pack I've ever seen. It comes with hundreds of gigabytes of assets, from generators to effects to transitions, over 300 transitions, over 600 LUTs. It comes with tons of sound effects, as well as overlays for fog, fire, anything you can think of, and it's only $49. So I don't know how I've never seen this before, but this is CinePunch, and it's absolutely awesome. Okay, so first of all, this video is sponsored, but they aren't telling me what to say about this product, so all the thoughts are entirely my own. Any critiques I have are my opinion alone, so just saying that up front really quickly. And then secondly, if you're watching this between November 24th or December 2nd, 2020, this product is 50% off, so that's an insane deal on an already really good priced product. So just throwing that out there. But now let's jump into the review of this product. It's gonna be really hard to review it because there are so many pieces and assets in it. It's honestly insane, but I'm gonna give it my best shot, give you a pretty good overview of how this works and how you can use these products in your editing software. And for this example, I'm gonna be using Final Cut Pro, but you can also get these plugins for Premiere Pro and other editing software. So let's jump into it. Okay, so when you first download this product, it's gonna come as a zip file. It's 7.5 gigabytes to start, but trust me, this is only the beginning of the files you're able to access. So once you unzip the file, you're gonna get this folder right here that says CinePunch. Just open it up, and inside you're gonna see all the assets you have access to, including several tutorial videos that I'm just gonna brush off right now, but they are very useful if you're trying to get started and need to know what to do. So let me try and show you what you're gonna get with this pack. The first thing are the CinePunch Transitions, Generators, and Effects. So if we open this folder up right here, you can see it has effects, generators, and transitions. And inside of each of these are many effects, generators, and transitions. So if you just click on the effects really quick, open that up, you can see it immediately has multiple categories of effects. So you can see here we have the disruption VFX panels. As you can see, it has a bunch of different effects in here. If we go back, the Filmmaker VFX Toolkit equally has a bunch of different things in here, which are all really cool, and then so on and so forth. So installing these into Final Cut Pro is actually really easy. All you're gonna do is highlight them. You can just go ahead and then copy them. Then what you're gonna do is open another Finder window with your motion templates. This is where you store all the effects and titles and transitions for Final Cut Pro. If you don't know where to find them, I'm sure there's a tutorial online or somewhere in this pack on how to do that, but basically all you're gonna do inside of your motion templates is go into the effects, click on that, and then paste the files. As you can see, I've already pasted them here. And then you just restart Final Cut Pro and they'll show up instantly. And the same process is gonna go for the generators and the transitions, which if we're talking about transitions inside of the Transition Punch 5.0, you can see there are so many categories of transitions, each having tons of transitions inside of them. So I think it's over 300 transitions, which is just insane to think about. When you buy any other pack, you might get 10 transitions for like $20, but this has hundreds of transitions for $49, including hundreds of other things. So really cool again for the price. Okay, and then quickly going over what else you get, we have some tutorials here that I'm not gonna go over. We have the big packs, which is the next really big thing of assets. These are gonna be the video overlay assets that you might find from Video Copilot or some other website, and they have up to 8K resolution in some of these files, so it's absolutely insane. But if we open it up, when you first see it, you're gonna see that nothing is in fact downloaded because they are such big file sizes. So for example, if we go to CineDust, click on that, as you can see, all you have in here is a PDF file. It does have a 4K and 8K option, but if we just open up the 4K PDF, what you're gonna see is that it has the file, how big the file size is. So this one's 5 gigabytes, but what you're able to do is download it at a server. It's just gonna download this additional file to your computer. But before you download all these really large file sized assets, something really cool you can do is go into number 7, which is the CinePunch video add-ons. And basically what you can do here is open up a PDF, and the PDF has access to all these different files, all those different assets that you could download entirely. Basically what you can do here is access single one, so you don't have to download all the different files. So for example, if we want to check out the light drops, we can just click access here. It's going to open up a Vimeo page, and once that page loads, basically what you're going to see is all the different light drop transition overlays. So as you can see here, we can get playback over all of these. We can get a little sample of what they all look like. And then if we want to download one of them, all we do is click the download button. And you can see this example, we have all these different resolutions up to 8K resolution. So we can just download these individually instead of downloading the whole pack. But if you do have the storage capacity to download these big packs, I highly recommend it, because basically what you can have is all these assets kept in one place on your computer, super organized, and you can access them super easily without having to download anything. But again, they do take up a ton of storage. For example, these fractal assets are 20 gigabytes. There are many other ones that are over 20 gigabytes and even more than that. So it'll add up quickly to over 100 gigabytes, maybe 200 gigabytes of a lot of high quality files. But it's super cool, you get access to all of these inside this pack, and again, I'll be going over them a little bit more later, showing you what you can do with them and how they work. And then lastly, we have the LUT Master cube files. These are going to be your LUTs, and as you can see, if we go inside of LUT Master here, you can see all the different types of LUTs we have. Again, it's over 600 types. So for example, if I go into commercial here, you can see all these cube files with different looks. And again, if I go into retro, all these different looks you have for different LUTs and styles that you can apply to your video clips. So super cool. LUTs usually cost a ton of money, and you get 600 here in one package. But now let's jump into Final Cut Pro, and I'll show you how some of the effects and transitions work. Okay, so when we jump into Final Cut Pro, basically what I'm going to go over first are the effects. So if we open up the effects panel over here on the right, what we're going to see is this effects panel you're probably familiar with. And if we go down, you can see these newly imported effects that we have. So first up is disruption, VFX panels and effects. If we go down on it, you can see all these different grunge glitch effects we have here. And if you scroll over them, you can kind of get an idea on what they look like. These do bog down your computer a bit. Mine's running very slowly on these effects, so that's one thing to keep in mind, but the faster your computer, the better this will work. But as you can see, you just get a lot of cool styles of different glitch grunge effects. As you go down, you can see you have more glitch effects, just really unique styles that you can apply and really stylize your video. So matrix disruption. One thing I really like at the bottom is the VHS effect. If you apply this effect to your clip, it looks like a really old VHS tape, better than most other effects I've seen. And again, this is just one little piece inside this massive plugin. And again, if you go into the settings here, you can see that you can change basically everything about it. It is a little bit clunky. That's one thing I want to mention about all these effects. It's a little bit difficult to get around and change settings on them because there's so many settings you can change, but that gives you the best options to stylize it. But as you can see here, there's just so many things you can adjust, from waviness, roll, static, all the way up to different opacities of the VHS look. So you can turn on and off different VHS looks. You can change the frame type. So if you want to get into it, you can really change a lot. But if you're just trying to apply the effect and have it work, it can be a bit tricky to make it work super fast and simply. Okay, so next let's go down to the Filmmaker VFX Toolkit plugins. Again, this is all inside the effects. So if we go up, you can see we have all these different grain looks from 8mm to 35mm. You also have all these different settings where you can change the control boards for different effects. This is my favorite place to kind of control these. There is an option if you go over into the generators, you have the same effects. So basically the Filmmaker VFX Toolkit generators, and basically what this does, it just applies it to the top of the clips. It basically creates another clip for you, but what I don't like about the generators is that it puts this weird watermark on the background that basically you have to turn off before you can even really use the clip. So you have to go into your generator settings, turn the logo off, and then you have to go into your video settings and change the blend mode to screen or something so you can actually see the effect. This is just way too much work for me in my opinion, so I don't really like to use the generators it has. All of them are like that. I don't really like that. It also has the leak punch generator, so I don't really like what they have for the generators. You can pretty much uninstall that if you don't want it. But if I go into the effects, I basically have all the same settings, all the same effects. So basically in the effects, these control boards are great because if I just want to apply this to this clip, I can just drag it on, and then instantly I get all the settings in my effects tab. So I can change the jitter amount as well as change the style of this lens damage. So for example, this is lens grime 1. I can turn off the opacity of this. I can try lens grime 2, lens grime 3, just get a look that I'm going for, and it's really easy to just mess around and test out the different effects. And again, for lens grime, this one effect here goes all the way up to 22 different types. So a lot of variation you can get to get that look that you're going for. So if I find one I like, I can just up the opacity a little bit, play it back, see how I think it looks, and then I can adjust more settings like the jitter amount. So this is just a lot smoother than the generators tab. So in addition to the lens grime, we have many different effects. You can apply different control boards. We have the fine film, we have the light controls, we have Technicolor, vintage home movie. So again, let's look at the lens light. This is one I think is pretty cool. So if we just apply this to our clip, it's gonna load all these different lens lights. We have a bunch of options, as you can see here, all the way up to 8 different light colors. So if we up the opacity on light 5, for example, you can see how it creates this certain look here. It's basically just an overlay, but built into the effects. So we have this cool light effect here that could be like a flare or some other type of overlay. As you can see, we can adjust the different types. So we can bring in maybe light 6. That gives a very different look here. And then you can change the scale of them as well. So basically scale it in or out, as well as the rotation. So you get a pretty good amount of variation inside of this built-in toolkit effects. Let's look at one more of these because they are so cool. So let's just drag in the vintage home movie control board. It instantly creates this old-fashioned vintage look, and basically what you can do here is just change all these settings. Again, my complaint is it's very clunky. There's so many settings to change in here, but if you work your way through and you know what you're doing and you get a good idea of it, you can change a lot of really cool settings. So basically I could change the type of vintage projector I want. So if I want to turn off vintage projector 1, I could try vintage projector 4, see if I like that look. You can play it back, get a good idea, but again, lots of variation in creativity. And then below that, you have some cool film burn effects, which I don't really find that useful, but you could get creative with them and do something neat with your video. Okay, so now let's talk about the LUTs that come with this pack. Basically, you're supposed to be able to apply them by using this LUT master thing, which has all these LUTs pre-laid out and you can just drag them on, but I've found that it gives me a warning every single time. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it's not the end of the world. I don't really like how this process applies it anyway. So basically what you can do is go into your effects and search for custom LUT. And what you're gonna be able to do is drag this custom LUT onto any clip. Once you have this in here under LUT, what you can do is reveal in Finder and then add all of those cube LUTs into this file right here. And as you can see, I've already done this. I have all the 600 plus LUTs inside of this one place. So now what I can do inside a custom LUT is go under LUT and choose any different look. And as you can see, it shows all the options under each style type. So if I want cinema styles, all these different cinema styles. The one complaint I have is that obviously it's a ton of different looks and it's really hard to know what ones you like, what ones you don't, because there are so many. So if I was actually gonna use these more, I'd probably go through it and choose the ones that I really liked and then delete the others just so I had a more concise option. But as you can see, you can go through many of them. If we wanna check out some cinema styles, let's just try out Chicago. You can see it just immediately applies the LUT and you can change the mix amount to basically lower it down. I never keep mine at 100% just because the look is way too strong, but you can pretty easily just lower the look down and get a pretty nice looking shot. Again, let's try another. Let's try a Pro Pack number 111. I don't know what this does, but as you can see, applies a LUT on off. You get some pretty nice color profiles, and again, there are 870 different options to choose from. So if you look through all the LUTs, I'm sure there's some that you'll find that you really like, but it can be pretty difficult to find those. So let's look at a retro one. Let's just try this one. As you can see, pretty stylistic looks. I'm not a huge fan of these LUTs that much, but it does give you a bunch of options if you don't want to buy anything else. And again, it just comes inside this pack. So if you don't need it, you don't have to use it. Okay, so now let's look at some transitions. So if we just go into our transitions tab here, we imported all these transitions. You can find them down here as CinePunch 5.0. And if we open this, you can see we have 318 transitions. That's just insane amount of transitions. Most of them are really high quality. There are a few that are pretty cheesy, but that's to be expected when you have 318 freaking transitions. So if we just go through these pretty quickly, you can see how many transitions there are. It's just absolutely insane. And you can kind of get a preview here if you just hover over them. Some of the ones I really like are these film reels ones. So if I just apply these to this clip right here, as you can see, it kind of just fades down, has a nice cool transition effect. I think the glitch transitions are pretty cool too. If we just apply this to the clip here, you can see it has this cool glitch effect, the transitions between the two clips. And speaking of glitches, this just reminded me of another part of this pack, which are the sound effects. So this pack actually comes with a ton of additional sound effects that you can find under the big packs. You actually have to download these, but it's totally worth it. It's a few gigabytes of just insane amount of sound effects that are perfect for transitions, trailers, anything you can pretty much think of. So if we go to my downloads, you can find it right here, sound packs. I have my CinePunch pack, which you can see all these different sound effects from dead sweeps to explosive hits to life forms. So if you click on any of these, you can see retro hits. You have all these sound effects to give you nice emphasis in your edits. And this is just one of the packs. If we go to Trailer Punch, you can see you have all these different trailer effects. So if you go to the Ultimate Transitions pack, you can hear all these different effects you have for different sound effects. So you have quick whips, you have film gates, all these different things. So little side note there, but there are a bunch of cool sound effects in this pack. Okay, so back to the transitions, there's some cool light leak transitions. So if we apply this right here, you can see cool little light leak effects. You also have these cool slide projector transitions here, so you can see it just slides down, kind of like a projector moving to a new slide. And then there's your standard zoom in or zoom out transitions, which look pretty good and basic. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of transitions because I think they often make your footage look a little bit cheesy, and definitely some of these transitions are not great, but because there's so many different options, you can really find cool ones in there that apply to certain shots and really emphasize what you're going for. So if you like using transitions, this is a great pack. It gives you access to so many varied transitions that you really would have to pay separately for every time. So this one unique pack comes together and gives you so many good options. Okay, so from that extensive overview, I think it's quite clear that this pack has a lot to offer, ranging from many different things. But I think there are two main categories that this pack really emphasizes. And these are going to be first the retro effects, so this goes everything from the VHS looks to the film grains to the grunge overlays, things like that, which really just emphasize that old-fashioned retro look. You also have those film slide transitions, so things like that. And then secondly, we have the polar opposite, which is going to be the really modern look. So we have these glitch effects, which really emphasize that technological modern look, as well as many of those more modern transitions. But that being said, there are many things to bridge those two categories. So we have all those different sound effects, which can be applied in many different ways, as well as all those overlay assets. And getting back to those overlays, I know I said earlier that I'd show you how to use them, so it's super simple. All you have to do is just download the overlay, apply it on top of your clip, and then change the blend mode to something like screen or add, and you can see the clip underneath with the overlay on top. So super simple to use and can be applied in any different situation. But that being said, here's a short sequence with some of my favorite effects and transitions from this pack. Anyway, that's it for today. If you want to download this pack, I'll leave a link in my description down below. It's a really good price and I highly recommend checking it out because it has so many great features. And also I should mention, if you want to get thousands of effects, assets, transitions, other things from that same website, you can click the link below that in my description and get a monthly subscription to that website, which again gives you access to tons of different things. But if you like this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.